Coming at you pre-recorded from the halls of Torment, it's Malignant Bear, featuring me, JD Grossmitz. Coming at you today with a quick look at the game Halls of Torment. Who would have thought? This is a newer action roguelike, or bullet heaven, in the same vein as Vampire Survivors. It's getting quite a lot of play and pretty high up on the Steam charts these days. It's a little newer, has some new and interesting features, was recommended by somebody else in the band, so I picked it up in the Steam sale, not that it's very expensive any other time. But wanted to put out a quick video on it. These games do best for quick looks like this rather than full runs. This game does some very interesting things that I wanted to show off and highlight here. We are on the build from, just in case this video takes a while to come out, from June 28th. So we're recording this a little bit in advance so we can have this in our back pocket in case we need some content, which we always do. But we're here in the stat screen of our character, and you might be wondering, JD, this looks a lot like a real RPG. And that's because it kind of is. This game differentiates itself by giving you a lot more RPG elements, both in terms of stats and also gear, and even somewhat in terms of visuals. This game definitely evokes the original Diablo 2, kind of that sort of style and vibe in terms of its graphics and setting and everything, and in terms of some of these RPG stats that we have. So we're playing as the Shield Maiden, and I'll talk about all the other characters later on, but we are mid-run, so I just want to go over the stats very briefly here. So you have your basic defenses, and you can mouse over them to see what they do, which is pretty neat. So for example, you're wondering what block strength is and how that equation works, you can get that information right there. Your damage values, and again, it's nice to see what everything is actually going into and changing. All your miscellaneous stats, and you have nice detailed information on what each of your attacks is doing damage-wise. So if you're targeting a specific thing, or let's say for an achievement, you can see what you maybe need to focus on, or what isn't working for your build. You have items. Have a whole bunch of gear here. You can have 2 rings, an amulet, a helmet, gloves, chest, and boots. And you can have some other things in your bag and swap them out. And there's a unique mechanic with this as well that I'll showcase here in just a little bit. But we can also see our traits and abilities here. So these are all of the different traits I've gotten as I've leveled up. You can see over there I'm level 64. That's how much XP I have. We're going to level up as soon as we exit the screen. There's my health. And you can see your abilities too. So every character class in this game has a different unique ability, or a different unique weapon rather, when they start out. And then there's different abilities you can get. You can have up to 6 at a time, and they can get enhanced in different ways as well. So for example, Dragon's Breath starts out as a big kind of conal attack, and I have it right now as just a fire breath instead. So, not a whole lot of settings here, but I wanted to show these off. There is some accessibility options. You can turn on auto aim, auto attack, and mouse only mode. So this game plays as a twin stick, or you can do it without that if you want to. But not a whole lot else going on there. I do like you can pick the cursor. That's always a good option. Let's jump in. This is what it looks like. We're pretty late in a run. We leveled up immediately, as you can see. I planned it like that. One thing I will say, because we are late in a run, one of this game's major flaws, in my opinion, not that it's super major, is that it's 30 minutes. Some of the other newer ones since Vampire Survivors have gone to 20 or even shorter. This is 30, and there's no other options besides that, at least as of right now. It's not a bad thing, but it means that runs take a little bit longer than that because you're going to be thinking about your builds, for example. So, as we level up, we get to choose a trait, and you can see we're getting higher levels of traits, or we can get some lower level ones here. But with this, for example, Dragon's Breath, additional flame walls, we don't have flame walls anymore, we just have breath. We're going to get swift feet, because you need movement speed in this game. So we're playing the Shield Maiden, and her big strength is that all of her damage comes from defensive stats, which means we stacked up on defense and block and everything else. I'm just running through mobs of enemies. You can see I'm taking next to no damage, and even when I do, it heals up instantly. At the time of recording this, I have just about 12 hours in the game. So given the runs are about 30 minutes, I haven't done that many of them. But here we can see some of the enemy variety, again, kind of late in a run. So my character, she has a regular attack, and I have it on auto attack just to make this a little easier. She just swings her sword or her mace in front of her, and a little bit of an AoE, and then every couple attacks she hits her shield and does a big shield bash in a huge cone. And that is in addition to shooting out a ball of lightning and breathing fire, because who doesn't want to do those things? We're going to get health regen, just in case we take damage. One of the other flaws that this game has, and it's not a major one, but I think it's worth pointing out, is I think there's a bit of a lack of enemy variety. These slimes are pretty prevalent in this level, and even more so in the other level. There's only 3 levels in the game right now. There's this one, just kind of generic dungeon. There's a fire level, and then there's like a haunted bridge. And in the fire level, it seems that every other enemy is slimes. I'm not a big fan of that level. I think that could certainly use some variety there. Have little dogs. There's also big dog enemies, skeletons, imps, flying things, a whole bunch of different mini bosses as well. So you can see here on the edges of the screen we have little icons like this one here. That is an item that we can go and pick up if we wanted to, and that'll suck in everything towards us. You always want that. I go and make a run for that if we can. If we have enough time. Some barrels there, kind of hard to see under the flame I'm shooting out. Actually, I don't think we have too much time. 2 minutes, we can make it there and back. Be good to get more XP and everything. Especially given that we cannot die. Literally unkillable right now. And even if we were, there is traits, of course, to make it so that you revive. Same concept as always in these games. You're just going to be killing everything you can on the screen. That's it. That's all you gotta do. But again, you have a few more tricks up your sleeve, and a little bit more variety and RPG mechanics to help you do that. These work best as quick looks like this, so I can start at the end of a longer run instead of at the beginning where there's kind of the slow ramp up to craziness. I will say this game is much more difficult than Vampire Survivors. Even thinking back to the start of that game, if you were to do a fresh reset of Vampire Survivors, I think it is one of the easier in the genre, and this is probably one of the harder. There's a lot of things to manage. It will be a couple runs before you can get, you know, past the 10-minute mark. Everything comes in waves, and once you get used to what the different waves are, you'll know what you have to expect coming up. So one of the big mechanics in this game, like I mentioned, is the items and the RPG mechanics. You can pick up items in the game, so you can see if we mouse over this one, our gloves, it says it's owned. So this mechanic is we can leave an item in the well and bring it back up to the surface. So this is where we get to keep these items permanently and reuse them in future playthroughs. So for example, this one is completely owned by me, and this one is just retrieved, which means that we've done this mechanic before, we've brought it up to the surface, but I have to then buy it from a vendor. So we're going to send up the Ring of Thunder. That seems like a pretty good one. We'll send that up. We also have a potion. There's a potion seller, of course, gives us his best potions. And we can do a whole bunch of different things with that, like reset the perks that we pick when we level up. But we're going to retrieve that item. You can only do this once per run, so make sure you pick a good one. And then that goes up to the surface, and once we finish, we'll see how we can buy that as well. Almost at the end here, though. This map has a kind of unique little mechanic, and we'll see if I can find it again. There is a little trail of blood on the ground, and if you follow it, it leads you to shrines on either end of the trail, and if you get both of those shrines, you get this item up here. I thought it was a little dustbin at first, but it's 2 halves of an amulet, and it reduces the end boss's health to 50% as soon as it starts, which is a pretty cool ability, definitely something you want, especially early on. Or just in general. One of the other complaints that I and lots of others have with this game, and the devs are apparently addressing, is that bosses are just entirely too tanky. So in addition to just getting to them taking 30 minutes, when I killed the boss of the 3rd stage for the first time, that fight alone took me probably another 5 minutes. There is no mechanic to help that at all. It just took that long. And there's no other enemies on the screen when you're fighting it either. So it's just you against one enemy. Health regen. Taking a little bit of damage now. Slimes leave lots of crap on the ground. We unfortunately cannot block poison. Would that we could. Get our murder on. Some enemies will shoot stuff at you, and here's the boss. He comes up, and you can see it's the amulets hitting him. Leaves little things on the ground so you can dodge those. Shoots out stuff. This is why you want movement speed. In addition to just being able to get around a little faster, this boss is very quick. He's going to charge at us. We want to make sure we're out of that. The end bosses are the same every time. So just like the waves are predictable, you know what boss you're going to get and what mini-boss and everything. So the randomness comes in terms of what perks you're going to get and what you're going to do with your build every time. Which can be a good or a bad thing. Again, you kind of know what to plan for a little bit more, but then can you actually execute that plan? Among the different classes, some of them have different stats to begin with. So for example, the archer has not as strong kind of physical stats. So you'll see when you're leveling up with some of them, you might get weak or strong perks or traits. I can't remember which one they're called. To 3 million damage. Get nice big pop-ups when you do that. But yeah, some classes have weak and strong perks, so you might want to just focus on the strong ones if you see one in the list and avoid the weak ones. So something to think about while you're planning out your builds. And you can actually unlock other perks by getting some of those achievements like we just saw. There's a whole bunch of them in this game. I believe it's over 200 as of right now. And those give you either new traits, new items, or just straight up gold. And you can always see which ones you have to get still. And it tells you at the end of each game which one you've gotten or not. So in phase 2 of the fight, obviously, we chunked him down again. He's not doing any damage to us, and any damage he is doing, we're healing up instantly. Shield Maiden feels very strong. That is another minor issue with this game, is balance is not the greatest. If you're going to do a physical character, you'd be wrong to not do Shield Maiden. I think she's just objectively better than the other physical classes. And if you're going to do a spellcaster run, you're probably going to do Sorceress. Congrats, you've survived! So you can see our level, our survival time, we get a bonus for that. How many kills we got, the damage we dealt. So nice stats there. You can see all the quests we did. So in this one, wait 180 seconds before you start moving. You must move to complete the quest. So I did this at the start of this run, specifically so I would have some sort of quest here so we could see that. But we got some gold for that. This one we killed some hellhounds, got some more gold. This one we got some new trait types for doing 3 million damage in a single game with one of our abilities. See, we just barely got it, which is pretty cool. We'll return to camp. It's where you get to pick your hero. When you start off, you only get the swordsman. And he just, swings a sword in front of him. Then you have the cleric as a skeleton. Does a big kind of conal AoE where the damage is divided among all the targets in front. So you will be incredibly strong against single target and a little weaker when the field is just full of things. Archer, you shoot arrows 2 or more at a time. You can upgrade the number of projectiles you deal. Archer does way more critical damage and can pierce a little bit, but again, sort of falls off. It's mostly physical damage. Shield Maiden, we were just playing. Warlock, you shoot out ghosts and they home in on people. He also feels a little weak at the moment. Exterminator, you have a flamethrower. What's not to love? Sorceress, you are incredibly fast. I mean, everybody's same speed in here, but in-game, Sorceress has the highest speed stat and shoots out chain lightning and can also shoot out fire. So the chain lightning can do fire and electric damage. It's very strong. You can see here's all of the different quests you have. Go through the list and you can see there's some general ones, some for specific maps, some for specific characters, and it'll tell you exactly what you have to do. So for example, this one is deal 3 million damage in a single run with the swordsman. So it'll tell you exactly what you have to do for all these things and what you'll get for them. As you complete quests, you get a permanent XP bonus, so you can level up a little higher. Here we have the potion seller. So there's 2 NPCs in the game. There's this guy and the other merchant. You have to find them in some of the levels and do little quests for them. And they are voiced as well, which I thought was kind of an interesting touch. Pick which level you want to go to. There's only 3 at the moment. I don't know what that's supposed to be, if anything. Shrine of Blessings, these are the permanent abilities and things that you can unlock, or permanent bonuses. You can refund them, of course, if you want to get other things. Pretty basic stuff here, though, you know, passive health regen, gold found. Nothing too exciting, but this is sort of the late game thing to get you progression. Then we have the Wellkeeper. We can buy the items that we've sent back. He'll keep these in his list forever, so you don't have to worry about, oh, you know, I sent back the helmet, but I really want the hunting gloves. It's always there. You just buy it. And then once you buy it, you have it forever here in your stash, and you can change out what you're going to be bringing with you into battle. And you have loadout slots as well. So, nicely sorted here for you to pick what you want to do. It's pretty cool. I like that they have those elements in there. It adds a nice little touch to it. I think this is fun. They nailed the art style they're going for sure. The RPG elements are a good touch to it. And I think they have a pretty solid foundation here to build a bit more on it, especially having this many classes early on. It lets, and all of them feeling so unique and so different. Now they can get to the fun part of kind of balancing them and just adding more maps and enemy types and things without having to worry about people getting bored and clamoring for new classes because you have so many right off the bat. I think this is a pretty solid entry in this genre of games. Definitely worth checking out if you're into these sorts of things. It's very cheap as well, which is good. These games usually are, but I've seen a couple others try to, try to get you for a little bit more money, but I think it's good when they always stay within that sort of $5 price range of Vampire Survivors. Not that they're not worth more money, you can certainly get plenty of gameplay out of them, but I think they're just kind of mindless enough fun that, keeping them at that sweet low price point is probably for the best. But yeah, this is an easy recommendation, I think. Again, it has some issues, but they seem to be committed to working on it and adding more content, which is good. So worth checking out if you like the bullet heaven or action roguelike genre like Vampire Survivors. This was Halls of Torment. I certainly enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoyed this quick look at this game. And until next time, have a good one.